Hello Gemini, welcome to this reading. We're going to be taking a look at the energies and predictions for the sign of Gemini for the end of August. Now do keep in mind that this is a general reading, so take the messages as they resonate, drop the ones that do not, and also check out your sun, moon, and rising signs. All right, Gemini, let's go ahead and get into this reading here for you. See what's coming forward for you as we close out this month of August. Now, the timeline on this reading will be from the last week of August all the way until September 7th. The reason I chose September 7th is that is the full moon total lunar eclipse in Pisces. So let's go ahead and get all of the cards out here, get everything set up and in view, and then we'll get right into it for you. All right. All right, I think that's looking just about good enough to meet. All right, energy on the bottom. You have the Four of Wands. So, Gemini, the Four of Wands, it's a card that may talk about your stability right now. You know, some of you here are maybe looking at, relationship stability, financial stability, career stability. It may talk about stability, and generally it would say that things are pretty good, right? It may say that things are pretty good. This is also a card of marriage or just generally like ceremonies. You can see the young family here. They are getting married in the card. And so it may also speak to like peace and harmony and right all of the things that come along with, like, let's say a wedding day, right? Like if it's not actually a wedding, it's everything that comes along with it that you can sort of like apply to your scenario. So like celebration as well. So the Four of Wands is generally a very good card here. Let's go ahead and let's try to break this down even further and see what we have going on for you here, Gemini, as we close out August. All right. So, with the Four of Wands, you start off the reading with the Knight of Wands, which let's just get into it now. So with the Four of Wands, yeah, we talked about the stability that is potentially a question for you or present for you right now in your situation, and now we have this Knight of Wands. Knight of Wands is a really solid card. I love this card. It is somebody who is a risk taker, right? This is somebody who's adventurous. They are a risk taker. They like to maybe put themselves out there, try new things, and yeah, maybe bet on themselves as well. This could also be the case with the Knight of Wands. It's also a card that I see many, many times when somebody's ready to move. And Gemini, why do I feel like for months, you've been getting this Knight of Wands card? Like in just about every reading. And remember, I swap the decks out. You know, I have multiple copies of each deck. I shuffle them really well. So it's interesting. You have been getting the Knight of Wands time and time again. Let me know, is there like something going on with your, you know, your place of residence? Like, are some of you really moving? Because this is definitely the biggest indicator of that. It's also an indicator of travel. I think some of you here want to shake something up, because if I think about the Four of Wands, that may be like a firm foundation, right? It may be this idea of like a firm foundation or your rootedness in an area. You know, you think about like newlyweds, right? This idea of like rootedness in something, getting rooted, these sorts of things. But then you've got this Knight of Wands, which is kind of the opposite. You know, it is risk-taking. It's getting out there. It's trying new things, being adventurous. So it's possible here that some of you are shifting something up. It can maybe even indicate a shift. There's also the Jack of all trades in the tarot, okay? So, you know, there may be opportunities here to kind of like, you know, kind of dip your toes into different areas that you're interested in as well during this time. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at this first column here. You have the Nine of Swords, you have the King of Cups, and you have the Ace of Swords. Okay, Nine of Swords. Some of you may recently have been having like some nightmares or some challenging dreams, something along this line, those lines. The Nine of Swords person is, you know, they are staying up late at night. You know, they are, you know, somebody who is like having a nightmare. This represents general fear and anxiety around the future. They're worried these swords are going to hit them, but they haven't actually done that yet. So it can just generally speak to like fears and anxieties about something here in your situation. Maybe it is connected to this idea of rootedness. Okay, I don't always bring that in with the Four of Wands, but it just really came to mind as I look at the Four of Wands card. Maybe there is something about the rootedness in your life that is kind of present here in the reading and present here for you during this stretch of time that we're looking at. I will say that this is a great stretch of time to initiate something. The retrograde is behind us. It's kind of quiet in terms of the astrology, and this time frame is like kind of the build up to the eclipse period, which is again the first part of that is on the 7th, and then we have one a week or so later. So you know it's sort of like from my perspective, the rest of August is like a golden window or a golden opportunity. So you know, it may be an opportunity for you to look at your fears as well and face them head on as you have this Nine of Swords. With the King of Cups, you know, this is, you know, kings in the tarot can really represent leadership generally, okay? And you also have a leader card here. Some of you may have responsibilities in life during this time. And, you know, for whatever reason, this is part of your story, right? You have there's responsibilities that you've taken on or have found their way to you. And with the King of Cups in particular, this is somebody who, you know, leads from the heart space, you know. This is somebody who's an emotional leader, you know, this is somebody who's really high EQ, you know, they are emotionally intelligent. And so some of you here, you know, this storyline that we're looking at is, you know, sort of, you know, emotions are involved here, you know, it's part of the story for you. And I would also say that, you know, this can suggest that you want to keep a level head, especially like if there are any sort of like emotionally charged situations with the Knight of Wands and the King of Cups. Those are opposite, right? Fire and water. You know, if there are any like emotionally charged situations here, the cards are just kind of giving you a little bit of a nudge to, or a warning, I will say, to sort of just like try to keep a level head, you know, be clear-headed in any dealings here, particularly as it relates to other people. You've got the Knight of Wands, the Queen of Swords, King of Cups, right? So finally, the Ace of Swords, here is this like this pocket of time that I've been talking about to start something new. Here it is with the Ace of Swords, right? Ace of Swords, it's all about breakthroughs in the tarot. It's the clouds clearing. It's success, victory, triumph, all of these things that are very, very good for us. And I think that you have a real opportunity to sort of like face any fears head on here with the Nine of Swords and the Ace of Swords. And I think that maybe these are like, you know, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like the root level needs. I'm talking about like rootedness here with the Four of Wands. Maybe this is like part of it, you know, this is part of it for you that you're really looking at. And like, I know this would actually make sense because, for example, like when you're in the middle of like changing your house, like if you, I don't know, like you're going from one rental to another, like a new place to rent, like that is kind of like altering your rootedness, right? Like that, like your root level needs, right? One of those is, you know, it's food, shelter, water, you know, these sorts of things. So it's like when you go through like a move or a period of change, it kind of can affect us, you know, for sure. It's a big deal. So maybe some of you are kind of in that period right now. In the middle, you have the Nine of Wands, the Knight of Wands, and the Queen of Swords. So with the Queen of Swords, you know, this could be your energy. This could be any air sign in the tarot. Think about the Queen of Swords is, you know, you'll never have to question where you stand with the Queen of Swords. You know, this is somebody who will always tell you exactly what you need to hear, not exactly what you want to hear, you know, what you need to hear. And, you know, this could be also an energy of like cutting, as well as swords in the tarot can really indicate cutting and separation. You do have two of these here, or sorry, three of these. Ace of Swords, Queen of Swords, Three of Swords, Nine of Swords as well. So five as well. What am I looking at here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 swords cards. So swords represent communication in the tarot, but also this idea of cutting something out, severing, that may be a very necessary thing. Some of you are maybe doing some, yeah, I'll just say this, like you're tightening the belt a little bit in terms of like spending. I know we don't see pentacles here. Actually, there are no pentacles, which is kind of like in and of itself telling for me as the reader. Maybe you're like saving up for something, or there's maybe some like unnecessary spending, or something like in your situation that's unnecessary that you're cutting out or you're removing here. I'll also say with that Nine of Wands, this can be an energy of needing to push on and continue forward in the face of difficulty or adversity. Nine of Wands says, keep going forward. Absolutely do not throw in the towel. There is light at the end of the tunnel. It is going to get better. You know, if especially with these double nines here, you know, one of which being the Nine of Swords, like if you're at a period where you're just so kind of like, what is the term? Ruminating. You're ruminating on something. There will be a way out. There's a way out of this, okay? And I would also suggest that the two nines in the tarot usually are connected to you. So something that you're doing or something connected to the self in some way. So we'll see how that plays out as well as we go along. In the final column, you have the Emperor, the Three of Swords, and the Five of Swords here. You know, Five of Swords, you know, this is a card of maybe cutting your losses, you know, parting with something, especially when combined with the Three of Swords. Three of Swords on its own is not, on its own, it doesn't mean, oh, you're getting divorced or you're breaking up, right? Like you have to, I mean, look, the Four of Wands is there. That is a card of marriage, right? But like you have to take everything into consideration. We don't really have a ton of Cups cards here, okay? So for me, it seems more like there is separation very clearly here, and maybe you know that you do need to distance yourself from something. Maybe this is a person, maybe this is from, you know, another area of life here. You know that this is going on, and this is causing you to have this Nine of Swords energy here, which is about fear, anxiety, stress, these sorts of things, because maybe the reality is that some losses need to be cut here, some separation needs to be had with the Three of Swords and the Five of Swords, and maybe also your heart is really, really in this. You know, your heart is really in the situation with this Three of Swords. And it's maybe a little bit difficult here. Yeah, you then have the Emperor, which this is another energy of leadership, okay? Taking authority, taking charge, taking ownership, these sorts of things in the tarot over the situation. And I think this idea of like facing something head on seems to be really important. I think you'll find success in that. The Emperor on its own is also a sign of success in business. There's something stacking up here really nice in this diagonal. Diagonals are directions that you're headed. So for you, you've got Ace of Swords, Knight of Wands, the Emperor. There seems to be something stacking up in a really nice direction for you. The other direction, it's sort of like there are two paths here. You're maybe like juggling two things here, okay? Like things are happening simultaneously for you, right? So like you've got this one thing that's heavy on your mind, and then in another area of life, you're excited about, you're finding some success, you're finding some achievement here, and maybe even a new start at the same time. So why don't we go ahead, let's get more details on this. We'll go ahead and start off by pulling some Oracle cards, and then we'll move into the tarot clarifications as well. All right. Let's take a look here. Okay. Energy on the bottom. You have Winter, take care of your needs. Yeah, I mean, that is also connected here to this King of Cups as well. You know, this idea of taking care of your needs is certainly like self-care. But also, I think that there is something important that you can't sort of avoid. Like, you can't kick the can down the road with this idea of like taking care of your needs. You know, there's something important that's showing up here for you to look at and to face head on. You have Oracle, wait for important information, as well as Protection Guardian, drop your shields. Allow whatever comes in to come in, you know? It's sort of like, some of you, I get this energy of like preemptively anticipating, like you're anticipating something. There's like a preemptive maybe attitude, or there's like you're preemptively awaiting something, or preemptively trying to prevent something from happening, okay? Or there's something that is, you know, going on here. I don't know if that's good English, but it's kind of what's coming in. Like, you're anticipating something, you know? And, you know, it is maybe connected to wait for important information and some news that you're waiting for, some info that's coming in. You have Broken Arrow, embrace the energy of peace, as well as Shield Maiden, make plans and focus. What else do we have here? Traveler, move in a new direction. Okay, here. I think arming yourself with as much information as possible could maybe help. Instead of freezing up like the Nine of Swords person and avoiding, like getting the info that you need could actually be a healing thing. And I say that because in part, all of these swords connect to information as well. Like fact gathering shows up here with the swords as well. So why don't we go ahead and let's take a look at the tarot clarifications for you here, Gemini. As always, really do appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I do hope things are going well for you. All right. All right, let's see what we have for you here, Gemini. Yep, you've got the Ace of Cups. I definitely like this. So there's absolutely light at the end of the tunnel. You have Temperance and the Hierophant. First, I think that if you are somebody who is like traditionally employed, like you work for a company or you work for, let's say you're not self-employed, that would be the Hierophant. Hierophant can connect to organizations that you belong to. I would say that if you're in that area of employment, like, I like what's stacking up here for you, I think that there's some success here with the Ace of Swords, and this is like falling in this diagonal as well that I've been talking about. I think there's real movement there for you during this time. The Hierophant is also a card of marriage. You do have two energies of marriage here. You have the Ace of Cups. This is what I'm saying. Like, I don't necessarily see anything like dicey here with the relationship, okay? Especially as you have the Temperance card as well. The Temperance angel is dipping their toe in healing water. The idea is that you are healing from a change, or you're bringing healing and patience and balance and moderation into your life in some way, And so with that, you have a new start in love. You have a new start maybe in the relationship that you're currently in here as well. So I also think, more importantly, this Ace of Cups falling on top of the Nine of Swords is pretty important for you, as this is a sign for me that there is like a way out of this fear and this rumination and this anxiety that you may be carrying. Okay, you have the Four of Wands, you have the Two of Swords, and you also have the Eight of Cups. Okay, Four of Wands here with the Nine of Wands. Four of Wands is definitely an energy that is coming in again, and this is, I've been talking about it here. There's something about like rootedness or stability in this reading here that is showing up for you to look at. Okay, I think that with the Nine of Wands, I spoke about how, this is a real message and a real push for you to not give up, to not throw in the towel, to not fold the cards, to really stick to something. And I think this is connected to this idea of your roots, kind of like a basic need that you have, in your situation. I think for me, I'm getting this idea of like your environment, like your local environment, your home, or something really important. And the cards are really suggesting that things are going to work out for you, okay? They're really going to work out for you. Now, this may indicate some sacrifice here, as you have the Eight of Cups with the Queen of Swords. Eight of Cups is, this is the idea of like walking away from a disappointing situation. And you have this here with the Queen of Swords. It's the idea of like, fearlessly doing this. The Queen of Swords is somebody who's not afraid to cut someone or something out, especially if it's in pursuit of a better, it's really if it's in the pursuit of truth, because Queen of the Swords cards really connect to truth and information gathering and all of these things. So for you, if there's something that you really need to let go of here, like the cards are saying, really, really, this is a good time for you to do this, and to maybe think about that. I can't tell you what to do as the reader. It's just potentials here, right? A number of potentials here for you. So, the cards are suggesting maybe think about that. With the Two of Swords, this does indicate that you're in the crossroads right now. It's sort of like, do you go, east or west, north or south, right or left, and like having a hard time with looking at that, because the Two of Swords, it may suggest difficulty in decisions. Like you have a difficult choice to make, or there's something, you're kind of like in a rock and a hard place, so to speak. This idea of like damned if you do, damned if you don't is kind of the idea of the Two of Swords. So you have to kind of weigh and balance and look at all of your options here at this time. Let's see what else we have. But you've got the Wheel of Fortune, you have the Nine of Pentacles, and you have the Eight of Swords. Wheel of Fortune is fate and destiny, so there's a really nice situation stacking up for you in like success within career, or at least in one area of life. The Wheel of Fortune is, I almost said Wheel of Opportunity. we'll go ahead and say that as well. But the Wheel of Fortune is like all about this window of time in life that opens, and it's going to be up to you whether or not you want to take advantage of it or what you want to do with that. But the idea of the Wheel of Fortune is opportunities like this, they may not always come around, when you get this card. So take advantage of, whatever's blessing you, during this period of time, whatever luck is showing up here. It's a huge potential for your destiny in life, for your fate in life that may be playing out here. With that, you have the Nine of Pentacles and the Three of Swords. The Nine of Pentacles it's all about financial independence, and there may be something that you're cutting out here or letting go of as you pursue some level of financial independence as well in this reading or during this period of time for you. Finally, the Eight of Swords, maybe some of you are having a hard time letting go of something or cutting your losses or accepting a loss or a defeat in some area here, okay? Which is a very hard thing to go through. Like if you have, let's just say, failed, it is hard to kind of sometimes get out of that. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I say that because the Eight of Swords person is sort of like restricted or trapped in, their situation. So, maybe some of you are trying to like figure out what to do with that. On the bottom here, you do have the Seven of Wands. Seven of Wands is all about standing your grounds. And I think for you, it's sort of like fighting for what you need to do. This idea of, I think you got, take care of your needs here on the bottom. Fighting for what you need to do here with this Winter card. And allowing yourself to get done the things you need to get done and initiate the changes that need to happen, which is available to you. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at the Kipper energies for you here, Gemini, and see what we have. All right, let's see what we've got here. So you have Great Fortune, amazing. You have Journey, Occupation. Yeah, I told you there's something nice stacking up in the occupation. You have False Person, Unexpected Income, and Pathway. As I suggested, you are at this cross in the path, cross in the roads here with the Pathway card. This is a greater timeline for you. For many people, what I mean by that is this story has like a longer time horizon. And for many people during this set, you're actually the last reading I'm doing in this series. For many people, I noticed, this is the benefit of going last. For many people, I noticed this period of time is kind of a breadcrumb within a larger story, right? What we're looking at here is a piece of a story that is on a longer time horizon. And I think that what's going on for you here is you're kind of getting some critical information, you're learning some critical things. The Pathway card may suggest 3 to 6 months in the future, but what's going on now is important, okay? And it is sort of like kind of moving you along right now. With Occupation and Great Fortune, interestingly enough, that is a combination, according to the author, that would suggest success in self-employment or DIY work that you do for yourself. Okay, so like take it for what it is. I was actually seeing success in general employment, but Great Fortune and Occupation is a real combination that you want to find, especially with Unexpected Income. I think there's a question of a person here, some suspicion with False Person and Nine of Swords, and this idea of like getting information is definitely showing up. But the universe definitely wants to gift you something here during this time. So thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll most certainly be talking to you again soon.